you should write down. So make sure that you're taking notes. Listen, guys and gals, I used to be a broke school teacher, and I transitioned to Wall Street and made a killing trading stocks, so much so that my family and friends wanted to know how, and I started to teach people. And that teaching just took off like a wildfire. It's unbelievable. Here are some of my top performers. What is awesome is that each of their stories is completely different. For example, Kyle Dennis came to me from a cubicle in LA making $35,000 a year. He was trading with just a $15,000 portfolio and is absolutely crushing it. You know, he averages over $1 million a year now. He's only in his 20s. Nathan Bear had lost over $40,000 before he found Jason Bond Picks. In 1 year, he lost 40 grand in 1 year. And he joins Jason Bond Picks, and he's gone up every single year since, and in just a few years is over $1 million in trading profits. Petra Hess, she was a millionaire entrepreneur in her early 20s, turned all of her money over to managers, and guess what they did? Lost half of it. She fired them all, took her money back. She joined Jason Bond Picks. She's made over $2 million with my service since joining me. Kevin, he travels the world. He funds his lifestyle trading from a phone or a tablet. That's a world traveler, man. Who doesn't want to do that? And Taylor, what a great story. Comes over to the United States from London to marry his wife and has a child. Jumps right away into corporate America without any college degree, making $150,000 a year plus. But he's working 6 to 7 days a week, 12 to 15-hour days. And he's missing out on being with his family, watching his son grow up. So he teaches himself how to trade stocks. You know, this year, he's on pace to cross $1 million in trading profits. Yes, $1 million in trading profits. He's probably going to have a $500,000 year. He's already made a couple $100,000 this year. Trading part-time. He only works 6, maybe 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. These stories are awesome. They're unique. And my question is, why not you? Legal disclaimer. My story is extraordinary. I was in my 10th year of teaching in a public school. I have a master's degree. I had a safe and secure job with a pension and benefits and summers off. But my wife and I were flat broke. She's also a school teacher, first grade, master's in literacy. We paid for all of our college education ourselves. And this left us in a ton of debt. So my story is extraordinary. It's a story about taking some risk. And that's essentially what this disclaimer says. Life can be risky. But if you get the right coach, guys and gals, I'm convinced if you have the right coach, you can find success. And I am that guy. I will give you my best because if you're successful, my story grows. My job is to help you win. I already know how. Let's do this together. So I've helped 3 students in a very short period of time make over $1 million. But what's most important here isn't making $1 million. It's making an extra $1,000 in just 1 month. Because that would change most people's lives. What would you do with an extra $1,000 this month? What would you do if all of a sudden that became easy and you could make $2,000 or $5,000 extra a month? What would happen if you started making $10,000 extra a month? The light bulb would go off and you would realize that there's a lot of potential. You know, just in the last few weeks, I made $170,000 trading stocks. $170,000 in just the last few weeks. I'm on pace to have my best year ever. Why not you? Here's the deal. Again, this is reciprocal. I'm successful. If I can teach you how to be successful, my story gets better. Your story gets better. Because I want you to learn. My top selling DVDs are yours when you join me at the end of this webinar. Seriously, you get to the end of this webinar, you will not pay about $5,000 combined for those DVDs. They are going to be included free. Why? Because again, if you win, I win. I need to teach what I know to you, and this is the best way for me to do it. So let's make it to the end. First thing I want you to write down, fishhook, pennant, rocket. Write it down. And seriously, turn off the phone, eliminate distractions. We're going to dig in here for 45 minutes to an hour, and we are going to be better traders at the end of this. My strategy is so simple. If you can see a fishhook on a chart, if you can see a pennant on a chart and a rocket on a chart, you will know the three things that I've used to create millions of dollars. Fun facts about me. I thought I was going to be a pro baseball player. It didn't work out, and I didn't have another plan. I'd studied physical education in college. I'd played baseball. And when I realized I wasn't going to the pros, I also realized I had a ton of student loans, and I needed to do something about those. So I got a teaching job right away. I mean, I was hired to teach before I had even graduated college. Married my wife, also a teacher. We both have master's degrees. I was working on my second master's degree, and we were piling up debt to the tune of minus $250,000. We had no net worth. We were in debt to the tune of minus $250,000. Mortgage, home equity line of credit, credit cards, personal loans, you name it, we had it. Car loans, student debt, it was out of control. And on these teaching salaries, there was no way we would ever pay it off. Now, after 10 years of teaching, I couldn't accept that anymore. I coached sports and I loved it. I taught kids and I loved it. I'm convinced that's my calling in life, to teach. But what I didn't love is that I wouldn't be able to provide more for my family. And so I did something about it. That goes back to taking risk. At 10 years into my teaching career, with a pension lined up, health benefits, summers off, I decided, no more for me. I'm going to do something about this. I'm going out on Wall Street and I'm going to eat what I kill. And you know what people said? Jay's having a midlife crisis. Now I'm a multimillionaire. But it all started right here. That was the house that two teachers with master's degrees can afford to buy. And that was the house where I realized we had a negative net worth. I'd never known what net worth was until I did my taxes one day, and along with TurboTax came a Quicken CD, and I dropped it in, and it popped out my net worth. And it was this big red number, minus $250,000. And I thought, that can't be good, so I started to research what's net worth. And when I realized, after 10 years of teaching, by the way, at that time, I was studying to be a principal, so I was doing my second graduate degree, all funded by myself and my wife. I was doing my second graduate degree, and I was projecting what I would make across the course of my teaching career or administrative career, and I knew I would never be ahead. It was things like this that really pushed me over the edge. I'd read in This Old House that you could remodel your kitchen quite easily, and I got all excited about that, so I tore it out. I even recruited my wife to help me, and despite her smiling in these pictures, she was furious because I thought it would take a few weeks. Ended up being a 6-month project, and we were without a kitchen most of that time. She was really upset. Even worse, I thought I could reinstall the kitchen myself. And once I started, I learned that I was way over my head and had to hire people. But we had no money to do that. We were forced to take loans to finish this kitchen, which just sent our debt further and further and further into the red. And it was at this moment, literally shortly after this kitchen was done, that we decided we need to sell the house, get rid of our debt. Jay needs to go out in the world and learn how to trade stocks. I tried a lot of other things, a roofing business. I was coaching a lot of sports, doing camps and clinics. I served tables. I bartended. I announced high school football games. Like I said, coached boys and girls varsity cross country, girls varsity basketball, a slew of other sports, and we still couldn't make ends meet. We always had just a few $1,000s in the bank account until these three patterns changed my life forever. I'm sitting in front of you here right now telling you that back when I remodeled that kitchen, I had no portfolios. I knew nothing about trading stocks. I found a great coach who taught me these three things, and it changed my life forever. So let's talk about the three things that I want you to take away today, because I'm going to show you how I make money time and time again off those three patterns. And people often say, goodness gracious, Jason, it can't be this simple. I'm going to show you how the pattern looks on a chart and the actual trades that I made and the verified results right here in this webinar. So the oversold chart pattern, by far my favorite chart pattern. The price falls sharply on bad news. Humans have emotions, so they overreact, right? Because humans are the traders that are causing that decline in price, because they overreact, and then you get a stock that's priced below its value. I buy what I like to call the J-hook, all right? The oversold chart pattern, the rounding for a bounce pattern. You call it what you want. I like to visualize a fish hook, all right? But it always occurs after an overreaction, especially on good companies. There's always going to be there's always going to be somebody there to dip by a great company. The continuation chart pattern. This one is absolutely basic math, geometry, all right? It's a triangle, or it's a rectangle, or it's a pennant, all right? Continuation chart patterns are simply just that. Stock is heading up, then it continues in a pattern, and then it continues heading up. It's that easy, all right? Or stock is heading down, then it continues in a pattern, and then it heads down again. We can play inside the pattern or once the pattern continues. This is so simple. You're going to see it on the chart, and the aha moment's going to happen, and you're going to realize the value of my service. And then the breakout. I mean, this is the easiest one to see on the chart because it usually occurs after news on heavy volume, and the stock price goes bonkers above what I like to call the money line. So, I told you, I had a great coach. This guy's name is Jeff Bishop. He happens to be Mensa, which is the smartest 2% of IQ in the world. I stumbled upon him, and he taught me everything that I know. How did I find him? Just messing around in a chat room one day. That's it. Probably like how you found me. And I said to him, listen, I want to change my life. You've been trading stocks for 20 years. You know everything there is to know about the markets. If you teach me and I find success, I promise I'll teach it to the world. So he gambled on me and taught me everything that I know. That picture on top of the mountain in the top right with the water behind us, that was right around when I had left my teaching job. We went out to New Hampshire where he resides with his 3 children and wife, and he really gave me in-depth lessons. And I took those lessons and I mastered Wall Street, guys and gals, but it wasn't without having a good coach. Here's some fun facts about Jason Bond on Wall Street since I left my teaching career. I've made a ton of money. Oh, well over $1 million. My top students have taken tiny accounts and turned them into over $1 million. Kyle, most notably, 15,000 into nearly $4 million. I gave away brand new Porsches to my clients who crossed $1 million first. That was Kyle and Nathan. All right? Professionals, all right? Experts in their field hire me to teach them, like Jose Canseco from Major League Baseball and 2-time UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir, who I had the privilege of going to his home and coaching him. And you know what he said? The number one reason that I'm picking Jason is because I know he can fast track the learning curve for me. Frank had great coaches in jiu-jitsu, in boxing, and wrestling. And he knew that if he was going to take his game to Wall Street, he needed somebody with the expertise. He chose me. I was recently featured on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, guys and gals. I went from elementary school teacher to the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and I wrote a best-selling book. Unbelievable stuff. Now, they call me a cheddar spreader because, listen, I was an elementary school teacher. I love to move, and I love to joke around because that is what I was designed to do. I wasn't designed to be on Wall Street, but I forced it to happen because I wanted more for my family. So I joke around. They call me the cheddar spreader, but there's no joking in my teaching. I expect my clients to study my lessons. I expect them to read the daily watch list, what I call your 2-minute primer, and then look for the real-time trade alerts by text and email during the day. That's what I want out of my clients. We take it seriously. I am the cheddar spreader because these are my results. Just in the last few years, $758,000 in trading profits. Do you know across 10 years of teaching, I'd only made about $400,000 across 10 years. Just in the last few, I've made $758. Just this year, in the last couple of weeks, I made $170 plus. Break that down by year. $145 in 2015, $330 in 2016, $283 in 2017. And like I said, I'm on pace to hit my biggest year ever. I think I'm going to make $500,000 this year. Guys and gals, it starts by putting one foot in front of the other. Make that extra $1,000 a month. Make that extra $2,000 a month. When you hit 5 or you hit 10, the light bulb goes off and you have that aha moment just like Kyle did. So Kyle found me from a cubicle. He looks over his shoulder and Bob is a day trader at the company Kyle's working at, making $35,000 a year. And Bob says, you should check out this Jason Bond Picks guy. I really like him. So Kyle does. And you know the story from there. He had over $80,000 in student loans. UCLA grad, making $35K a year in LA. That's not going far. And now he's crushing it on Wall Street. I even gave him a Porsche when he crossed $1 million, and he has not looked back. Again, there's me in Frank Mears' living room. All right, there's my mentor with Jose and Frank when we had a conference in Vegas. This is what has happened by taking a risk. It all started with taking a chance on myself when I left that teaching job. I funded my son's college tuition already. He's got about 16 years before he goes to college, and I've already funded it. There's my wife, that's Noah, and there's us having dinner at a restaurant right near our house. I want my son not to have to make a decision like I had to make. I had to leave. I felt like I had to leave my teaching career behind so that I could take a shot on Wall Street to provide for my family. I would still be a school teacher if I wasn't in debt. I was in debt because of those student loans, the mortgage, the credit cards, and we never had more than a few $1,000s in the bank account. Here I am on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with my mentor, the Mensa trader, Jeff Bishop. Absolutely awesome. The floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Listen, 3 patterns did that. I told you to write down the fishhook, the pennant, and the rocket. Now we're going to examine them in detail. Let's start with the oversold chart. There's an overreaction, all right? An overreaction, usually as a result of bad news, where the price falls sharply, all right? And then it settles. Once it settles, we find a bottom. Usually I give that a few days. Then I look for any sign that buyers are showing up. Here's what you need to write down with the oversold chart. We want to find stocks that have fallen 50% or more in under 2 weeks. A drop of 50% or more in under 2 weeks. Remember, I'm always playing stocks under 10 bucks or options on large caps, which are generally under $5. So I'm playing stocks around 1 to 5 bucks or an option on a large cap between 1 and 5 bucks. So I'm hardly ever trading really big price stocks. I like to trade the small ones or the options on the big ones because those are like the small ones. So first thing you need to write down, a 50%, excuse me. First thing you need to write down, a 50% plus drop in a short period of time, usually 1 to 2 weeks. Then we look for a rounding bottom where the volume slows significantly. And as soon as we see the first sign of buying, I like to call that candle over candle, where that fish hook starts to turn up, that's where I get in there and buy. Now, my watch list goes out to clients every day. They can make sense of this because they've studied a few video lessons on the oversold pattern, on the continuation pattern, and on the breakout pattern. Once they understand the patterns and the catalysts, I provide a daily primer, and they read it just like this one that went out all the way back when I just left my teaching job. This is how I knew I was going to have something huge. This went out to my clients on the watch list years ago. And I said, listen, some good news has slowed the bleeding, and it's coming out of oversold. So this is on the daily watch list. And the chart on the left, that's what it looked like. Candle over candle. See that black candle over the red candle? That's the first sign that buyers are coming back into the stock. Second thing you need to write down, the relative strength index needs to be below the 30 line. Almost always. So 50% plus in 1 to 2 weeks, RSI below the 30 line. RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. And it's just an indicator that measures oversold and overbought. All right? So for the oversold pattern, below the 30 line is an oversold reading. In some companies, anytime they dip there, they have a really fast whipsaw out of there. I know this, and I usually will take action on them very quickly once they start to bounce. And I can get gains of 10, 20, and sometimes even 100% in 1 to 4 days. And my clients, as you can see, can also get gains on these trades. Asim, who is still a client, this was all the way back in 2013, who's still a client 5, 6 years later, 92%. Thomas made $11,700. $19,416 realized for Scott. Also, still a client years later. Because this pattern works time and time again, and it works on stocks under 10, and it works on large caps. But again, I'm not going to buy Apple stock. I don't have that much money. I'll buy Apple options. I'll buy Apple options, which are usually priced around a few bucks. So I'll either play small caps under 10 or large cap options. And this works great for me, guys and gals, and it works great for my clients. So number one, 50% plus in under a week. Number two, the RSI needs to be below the 30 line. Remember, the RSI is just an oscillator, which is a fancy word for an upper and a lower limit. An upper and a lower limit. So when it gets below 30 on the lower side, that's an oversold reading. That means it's been oversold. There's been an overreaction. This is my bread and butter trade, and you're going to see how much money it makes me. It's unbelievable. All right, so we went from the small ranch into an apartment because I had literally no money. As I told you, a ton of debt. And I needed to start transitioning to being a full-time trader. So I left a teaching job behind, sold the house so we could get out from under debt, and I started trading stocks. 2015, $145,000. You know what the great story behind that bottle of wine is? That's a winery in Napa that a client of mine owns. And he was making so much money with me trading stocks, he started to send me cases of their wine. So here's the successful entrepreneur running a winery in California who's also trading with me and then sending me bottles of wine, beautiful bottles of wine. And I'm trading off a card table at the time, living in an apartment. And I'm starting to kick some serious butt trading stocks. This was a great transition for me. Again, took the risk leaving the teaching job, sold the house, moved into an apartment. Friends and family said I was having a midlife crisis. All of a sudden, you can start to see this is transitioning in my favor. And I didn't stop there. $330,000 the next year. I had started with 100 grand and I turned it into $430,000 in 12 months. Do you understand? That's 10 years worth of teaching salary in 1 year. And you can see how all of a sudden my lifestyle is shifting dramatically. Never did I think that this would happen to me when I was ripping up that kitchen and we had minus $250,000 worth of debt. All of a sudden, I'm erasing the debt. And I'm making more than that debt in 1 single year, 10 times my teaching salary. And we're doing things like private jets. That was the moment where I knew something bigger and better was coming. And man, it sure was. We built what we thought was our dream house, absolute dream house. My wife was so excited. This was just down the road from that small ranch we lived in. And we never thought we could live here. There were doctors and lawyers and engineers living on this street. And we were school teachers. We taught the kids that live on this street. And the next thing you know, we're building a house on a street we never thought we could be on. We only dreamed of this. And we started talking about having a family. And my wife transitioned out of teaching to be a stay-at-home mom. She was in her 10th year at the time. And she transitioned out too because I was having $330,000 a year trading profit. Unbelievable. Our net worth is climbing. So we tit up the backyard like everything else I do. I don't leave any stone unturned. You know, my clients say that I have the perfect mixture of ADHD and OCD. All right? I was meant to be an elementary physical education teacher and coach, not a Wall Street guy. But I also was not meant to be broke, so I did something about it. And this is what it looks like when all of my energy goes into my backyard. Beautiful patio, hot tub, green egg, umbrellas, gorgeous saltwater pool. Lit up the sky at night with lights. It was awesome. That pond fully stocked with bass and bluegills and perch and crappie. Like, I totally loved this new life that we had created just with an idea, just with a risk. Why not you is my question. Can you see this fish hook on Snapchat's chart? I told you, I'll play small caps or large cap options. Look at that bounce on Snapchat. Look at the huge drop in a short period of time. Look at the huge drop, right? Over 50% in a short period of time, pretty darn close. Usually with large caps, you're not going to get a 50% drop in a short period of time, but pretty darn close here on Snapchat after the IPO. Do you see the fish hook? Do you see the trade that I made? I bought the option at 72 cents. I sold the option at $2. That was $22,000 in just 3 days. I mean, ridiculous. Ridiculous. Using a fish hook, right? Can you see that? Do you think you could do that? If I sent you the real-time watch list, the daily primer in the morning, could you see it after watching a few lessons like this? Could you act on it? Could you profit from it? The answer is yes. Do you see the fish hook? I took a highlighter and put it in there for you so it really stood out. Do you see how the price had fallen sharply below the true value of the stock? Do you see the market overreaction? Because humans have emotions and they overreact when things are going bad for the company. They sell, sell, sell. Do you see the pattern on the chart? There's the gain, 22 grand from 320 to 322. $22,000, 3/4 of a teaching salary in a few days. What would have taken me a full year to make, I did in a few days. What would you do with an extra $1,000? I asked you this at the beginning. I hope you have an answer because I want you to write it down right now. Just write it down. With an extra $1,000, I would do this. All right? I've put up some suggestions. Pay off your college loans early like I did. All right? Pay off your credit card balances like I did. All right? Live without a mortgage like I do. I live without a mortgage now. Take an extra vacation. I'm taking one here soon to Turks and Caicos, and I never thought we would afford Turks and Caicos in our entire life on our old teaching salaries. Maybe a car. Write it down right now. With $1,000 extra a month, I would do this. I want you to fill in what you would do with $2,000, $5,000, and $10,000 extra a month as well, because you can start to do drastically different things as that number grows. Write it down. You need to have goals because that's going to create the energy you need to join me, to study some lessons, to get the daily primer, to look at the real-time alerts, and to start transforming your life. It's going to take some energy, not a ton. My service is for part-time traders. Here's my promise to you. I'm a great teacher, and I'm a great stock trader, and my success is dependent on yours. I will find a way to make sure that you understand this information. I'm going to show you more oversold charts. I'm going to show you the continuation patterns and the breakouts. And I'm going to tell you about my service. And I'm convinced if you put some effort into it, it's going to change your life just like it did Matthew's. Just in a few short years with me, over $300,000 in trading profits, part-time. Part-time. Petra, as I told you, lost half of her net worth to money managers. Took her money back, and since joining Jason Von Pix has made over $2 million trading. She trades part-time, while enjoying her life. She was extremely successful as an entrepreneur and made millions in her 20s. But again, trusted advisors to take care of that money. And when they lost half of it, she said, I can figure this out on my own. And part of that meant finding a coach on swing trading. Guess who that guy was? Awesome story. So my 3 trading patterns. Let's go back to number 2, the continuation chart, or what I like to call the pennant. It always reminds me that continuation chart patterns are simple geometric shapes. Again, they could be triangles or rectangles, which we call a bull flag. They could be a descending triangle or ascending triangle. They're simple geometric shapes. That's it. And what you need to understand on this is that a stock typically has a trend. It's either going up or it's going down. After it's made a big move up, it will consolidate, or what I like to call rest. And it's in that resting pattern that we find the geometric shape. We can trade inside of the geometric shape, or when the pattern continues out of it. In the case of an ascending triangle there in the middle of the screen, so the stock is going up for whatever reason, good earnings, and then at some point in time, it needs to take a breather, and so it trades sideways. But as it's trading sideways, the lows are being bought up. Why? Well, it just had good earnings. So as it dips, somebody buys it. And then it kind of bounces up to this, what I call the supply line or resistance. That's the horizontal blue line there. And it hits its head against it and it comes down. This time, it doesn't go as low. It makes a higher low. It starts to make the pattern of an ascending triangle. And when that pattern closes, the trend resumes. And the stock starts to fly up again out of the pattern. It's a continuation chart pattern. It can be in the shape of a rectangle like a flag. We call that a bull flag. And these patterns can be on a downtrend too. So simple geometric resting patterns. Remember resting patterns. All right, so here's a real world ascending triangle. You can play it off the blue line and sell it at the purple line, or you can wait for the pattern to close and you can play it when the pattern resumes, inside of the pattern or outside. But essentially, in this case, it's an uptrend that's resting and then uptrending again. You can play them in a descending triangle. All right, you can buy it off the blue line and you can sell it into the purple line. This might happen on a stock that's downtrending. So it's downtrending for a long period of time, then it makes a descending triangle sideways, and then it continues downtrending. But you can play it inside the pattern or outside the pattern. Now again, the daily watch list. Clients come to me, they study some video lessons, then I give them the daily primer. And much like that $40,000 100% win I had in a few days back in 2013, I'm doing the same thing every single day of the week, guys and gals. I absolutely love it. So here's a bull flag continuation pattern right from the watch list. I tell clients what to do. I tell them where the lessons are if they're not familiar with it. Real simple stuff to see on the chart. Can you see the bull flag? Can you see the flagpole and then the rectangle moving sideways? So you have good news and then you have a resting phase. Play it inside of the trend lines, or when the pattern resumes, play it outside of the trend lines. That's a bull flag. Flagpole created by earnings, sideways consolidation. This time a rectangle, not a pennant. Remember, it can be a pennant, it can be a rectangle. Do you see the highlighted pattern here? Up, over is the bull flag. And then when it comes out of that bull flag, the trend resumes. I often compare the continuation chart pattern to a road trip. Let's say you're driving from New York to Florida. You head on down, and maybe you stop in Tennessee. This is the rest phase. This is the rectangle on the chart. You can play inside of that yellow rectangle. The support and the resistance lines, right? The trend lines. Or you can play when the pattern resumes. When you wake up in the morning and you drive from Tennessee to Florida. So you start your road trip, you rest, you continue your road trip. Stocks do the same thing. They can do this going up the chart or down the chart. That's a continuation chart pattern. So the pennant. $24,000 for me on CECO. Elementary gym teacher. If I can figure this out, can you? Company has good news, it rests, and then it continues up. Can you buy it at the support line, sell it at the resistance? Can you buy it when it's breaking out of the bull flag? You bet you can. I do the same thing on indexes. So this is the small cap index, right? I can't afford to buy a $140 index, right? This is like the S&P 500, but for small caps. Here's a descending triangle. Can you see the descending line, the blue downtrending line? Can you see the common area of support, the horizontal line? You can. And you can trade that either off the blue toward the descending blue line, or you can short it. We won't get too much into that right now, but you can make money from the descent as well. So you can short the top line and cover the short at the bottom line using an option. Simply buy a put. And I did just that on this pattern here. Wait until you see the 3 trades I made across the course of that month and a ton of profit. Descending triangle formation. Essentially what I did, see the red line on the right-hand side? I bought a put off the red line, expecting the price of the Russell 2000 to come down because healthcare for Trump didn't go through. So I bought a put with the intention of making money on the descent. You can make money when markets or stocks are going up or down, guys and gals, and I can show you how to simply do this. So here is what I did. I bought the put at $1.02. I didn't pay $138 for it. I bought it right at that arrow there, and I bought it while I was on vacation at $1.02, and I sold it at $3.08 for 202% or $21,000 the next day. Yes, the next day. There it is. 21 grand, 202%. Buying a put at $1, selling it at $3 on an index using what? The continuation chart pattern. Playing inside of the trend lines. Biggest win yet, Jason. I made $7,800 or 168% overnight. Thanks, Jason. Stephen B. This is my client. I had made $43,000 that day. I hit the oversold bounce on Snapchat that I showed you earlier. The same time I bought the put on the Russell 2000. So I got a bullish bounce on Snapchat. I shorted the small cap index buying a put off the trend line, and I made 43 grand from my phone while I was in the pool with my son, and my wife was taking a picture, drinking margaritas, by the way. Yes! Yes! There it is, man. I circled where I bought the puts off the descending trend line. See the red line on the right-hand side? That's the same as the blue line on the left-hand side. The circles up there, that's where I bought the put expecting the market to fall because healthcare reform didn't go through. Bing, bang, boom. Look at the wins. Another $22,000 from 322 to 4.5. Another $24,000 from 412 to 414. Just playing the same pattern over and over off the trend line, inside the trend lines. Awesome! Which allowed me to upgrade my house again. Here's my new backyard on 6 acres in New Hampshire, just down the road from my trading mentor, Jeff Bishop. This is awesome, guys and gals. I'm so excited because now I get to live by my mentor, who also happens to be my son's godfather. And I'm learning so much more about my trading, having had this opportunity that all started the day I left my teaching job and said that I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to not only become a great trader, but I'm going to teach people how to be great traders. This is our new home. This is where we currently reside. This is where we're going to raise our son and our family. I'm so excited about this. My swing and long-term trading service. Easy to follow swing trade alerts. High-octane long-term trade alerts. I look for some juicy long-term stuff, guys and gals. Jackpot penny stocks. Probably my favorite part of the service. This is where I make huge gains across weeks to months, and my daily watch list. Plus my real-time trade alerts, man. That is what my service has done for me right there. $283,000 trading stocks part-time. My whole service is for part-time traders. It attracts full-time traders as well, but it's designed for part-time traders. I did that trading part-time, and on December 11th, 2017, I took out all of my trading profits, which at the time were $232,000, and donated it all to charity. Literally what used to be my negative net worth, now I'm making in trading profits in 11 months, 12 months, and I'm donating it to charity. Absolutely awesome. And look, I made another $50,000 after I cut this check to all of these charities. That is awesome. I wrote that check, $232,000 and some change, to all of these charities right here. These are the places where that money went to. Great organizations who benefited from me taking a risk all the way back when I quit my teaching job. I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying give my part-time strategy a shot. Put some effort into it like Kyle Dennis did. He joined me and he was driving this car, working in a cubicle, making $35,000 a year in LA. He joined me with $80,000 in student loans. This is what he had. This is what I gave him. This is what I gave him to show the world that if you believe in me, I will give back to you. To show the world that I know what I'm talking about. Listen, I told you, I get excited. I used to be a teacher and a coach. I wasn't meant to be on Wall Street. This is why I trade part-time. I'm out jogging. I'm out doing things most of the time, trading from my phone, using those strategies. This is what happens when you believe in me, you believe in yourself, and you work hard at it. That's Kyle's story, right? From broke to rich, making 7 figures a year trading stocks. Hard work paid off, not just for Kyle, but also for Nathan, who you see in the middle of the screen here. Yes, I'm standing in front of yet another Porsche, this time with my mentor, with Kyle, and with T.O., Hall of Fame, Terrell Owens, giving away another Porsche to Nathan, who took $37,000 and turned it into over $1 million. More importantly, the year before he joined Jason Bond Picks, he had lost over $40,000 trading stocks. I deliver results. That's my job. You write down these notes. Oversold chart pattern looks like a fish hook. Continuation chart pattern is a simple geometric shape. Remember that how you want. I like to remember it by a pennant. And the breakout chart pattern. These 3 patterns changed Jason's lives. I taught them to these guys, changed their lives. But remember, I didn't learn them until Jeff Bishop taught them to me. T.O., the reason we had him there speaking to our huge conference is because he said very specifically, without coaches, he would have never made it 16 years in the NFL, and he would never made it into the Hall of Fame. It was the coaches that taught him how to catch a ball in extremely stressful situations. It is a coach like me that's going to help you manage a very difficult environment. Make no mistake, Wall Street is eat what you kill. You got to be smart. and you need somebody to fast track your success, that's what I do. You know, just after I gave that Porsche away in Atlanta to Nathan for all his success, I was making this trade here. I left for Atlanta on that Friday. I bought WATT. Those are the real-time alerts that go to your cell phone. Do you see the fishhook? Do you see the RSI below the 30 line? Remember, the RSI goes below the 30 line, the only indicator that I care about? And the fishhook. Do you see the sharp drop on the stock, an overreaction? So I bought that dip, 1,000 shares at $15.47. Most of the time I'm trading $3, $5 stocks. But once in a while, if there's a good opportunity above 10, I'll trade it, because this is still a small cap, all right? It's still a small cap, despite the price being higher, which means if it has good news, it can fly 40, 50% in a day or two, which is exactly what this did. But before we move on to that story, I want you to understand, in the morning, I bought 1,000 shares at $15.47. In the afternoon, I bought another 1,000 shares, all right, at $15.24. And on Monday, just after I gave Nathan the Porsche, Watt had great news. And I sold it from an elevator on my way to happy hour, our social, with all the clients who came from around the world to see us. I sold it for $11,000 or 40% profit, and sent out that sell alert to my clients, who also had a great opportunity to take profit on it if they wanted to. That, my friends, is what I mean by easy to follow swing trade alerts. Here's Nathan's old house. 4 kids, wife, 2 dogs, family of 6, living in a 1,100 square foot home. He was renting it. He had lost $40,000 plus the year before trading stocks. He's building a small business at the time, and he stumbles on Jason Bond picks. Here's Nathan's new home. Here's Nathan's new home. This dude is coming up on $2 million in trading profits now. He just closed on this house. He bought it. He's not renting it. He bought it. He closed, and he gave his family a better chance at life. That's the most important part here. When I met Nathan and his wife, they said, we changed our kids' future. We put them in better schools now. And we are so grateful, Jason. That's what they said. And here he is, living the dream. Little bit of an upgrade from that Suburban, though he's keeping the Suburban with a family of 6 and 4 kids. You're going to need a bigger car. But in his free time, there's the Porsche that I gave him. There's the new house that he bought with those trading profits. That's what I mean by changing lives. It starts with not losing $40,000. That was the year before he joined me. That's what it starts with, not losing. And he said very clearly, when I first joined Jason, I didn't start making money right away. I just stopped losing money. Here's my TD Ameritrade account. So I switched over to TD Ameritrade in 2018, and I love this broker. I really loved E-Trade for all the years that I used it. But TD Ameritrade, in my opinion, is better, so I switched over. I want you to look at the highlighted numbers there on the right-hand side. 71%, 21,000 on Amazon, 88%, 36,000 on Disney, 91%, 18,000 on Facebook, 171%, 19,000 on Tesla. Here's the kicker. It all happened in one day, and here's the other kicker. Do you see the fishhook? This isn't something that I just made up, guys and gals, to get you excited. This is something that is exciting. This is something that I'm doing. Those are my real money results, and those are the fish hooks on large caps. But remember, I'm trading the option for $1 or $2. I'm not buying the stock. I'm trading the option. And that's so easy to learn. It's unbelievable. So don't get overwhelmed. Buying an option is no different than buying a stock under $10. You simply hit buy. All right? It's that easy. And the option on large caps can be extremely lucrative. But more importantly, look at Amazon, how it approached the 30 RSI line. Remember, great companies, they hardly ever go under the 30 line. Disney, how it approached the 30 RSI line. Why did Amazon fall? Because Trump went after them in the USPS. So it fell. Disney came down with the market. Facebook fell on the data scandal. All right? When good companies fall, and the RSI on Facebook was below the 30 line, look at on the chart, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the chart, it has never fallen under the 30 line. It's an overreaction, a buying opportunity to the tune of 18 grand for little old me. And Tesla, Model 3s weren't going out as fast as people wanted them to. The stock fell to oversold. Again, hardly ever happens. Buying opportunity, overreaction, 172% on the option. In just days, my top 3 trading patterns make me a ton of coin. And when you realize that you can do it too, the sky is the limit. There is no limit on Wall Street. That is why I love it. So let's go to the breakout chart, or the rocket ship. The easiest one to see in the world, because the company will have good news, which which comes with huge value. You can't predict these events, but once they happen, stock tends to run for days. When it goes across what I call the money line, a horizontal line that is a major area of resistance on heavy volume, it's usually going to run for a few days. And you can see the results, 34,000 on Watt, 15,000 on Very. The breakout chart pattern is absolutely the simplest pattern to see and play because the catalyst is there, the heavy volume is there, the price action goes above the money line, and then it runs for a few days. We don't try and capture the entirety of the move, but we are going to play for 10, 20, 30, and sometimes 50% profits in a few short days. Those are my 3 trading patterns. They changed my life forever. The only question I have for you is, could they change yours? I think you know the answer. You heard my story. I'm serious. You've learned my favorite money-making techniques. It's that simple. So when you join me, you will have more in-depth video lessons on those 3 patterns so you can make sense of them more clearly. You'll know how to scan for them and find them. You'll get my daily primer in the morning that kind of shows you the ones I'm looking at. And when I act on them, when I trade them, you get a real-time alert by text message and email. That is what I've done. This is what they've done. Now it's your turn. What's your story going to be? I hope it's awesome. Listen, you become the difference maker. I've shown you what I do, and I'm committed to your success. You set your mind in the right direction, you take massive action, and again, this is a part-time trading strategy. Few video lessons, daily primer, real-time alerts. Are you ready to write that story? I know you are. When you get started today, these are the things that you're going to get. In-depth analysis that you can read over, and after having watched the lessons, make sense of very quickly. Trade alerts, real-time access to all of my content, my portfolio, the huge wins that I'm making, I'm texting, I'm emailing out to my clients. Simple, powerful, profitable. Oh my goodness. I love Wall Street. Don't overcomplicate things. Those 3 patterns are all I use, and that makes me a lot of money. And when my clients dial in, it works for them too. What are you going to get? Number 1, easy to follow swing trade alerts. I showed you the WATT trade that I made from my phone while I was at a conference that I ran, giving away a Porsche to a client who used the same patterns to make over $1 million. 3 to 5 of those a week. If the market's hot, it's going to be more than 3 to 5. All right. Researched by me. Snapshot comes out to you in the morning, and then the alerts come out to you during the day. I mean, that's what it looks like on your phone. Those are the actual alerts I send clients at the actual time on the actual day. April 6th, 10:25 a.m. Bought Watt. I let people know I was going to buy more. I thought it would be at the conference on Monday, but I added more at the end of the day on Friday. On Monday, guess what I did? Sold it for 40%. Same pattern. High-octane long-term trade alerts. These are great for the busy professionals. You want stuff that plays out across the course of weeks and months? I've got it for you. I researched stuff, and in this case, it was Fannie Mae, 6 months ahead of Trump winning the election. Look what I wrote. On January 29, 2016, posted at 11 a.m., I said, if Trump is the candidate, Fannie Mae goes up. If Trump wins, Fannie Mae skyrockets. I said that. That was posted to my clients, a research report. Look at what happened to Fannie Mae after Trump won the presidency. And guess what? The morning I woke up and realized he had won, I went back to my report, I bought immediately, and it skyrocketed. Right from my report, guys and gals, I was literally one of the first people on Wall Street to buy it. Look at that breakout. Pre-researched by me. High-octane, long-term trading service. You're going to love this, man. There's Fannie Mae, there's my profits. I'm telling you, I do this over and over and over again. Also my favorite, jackpot penny stocks. Here's where I swing for the fences. Here's where I'm looking to turn a few thousand into $100,000. Here's where I'm looking to score the big win on a huge story that could play out across the course of months or even a year. All right, jackpot penny stocks, Angie's List. Look what I wrote on the watch list. Could be bought out. Guess what happened to Angie's List while I was in the trade? Was bought out. I turned a tiny amount of money into a big amount of money. Look at Rocks, Castle Brands, the beverage maker. $44,874. My report, sleeper stock Rocks, 500% potential. It went up close to 200% after that report. Liquid Metal, also a huge triple-digit win, $20,000. This stock went up a ton after that report. Unbelievable profits on my jackpot penny stocks. The daily watch list will prepare you for the swing trades, but I also tell you about my long-term trade alerts in the daily watch list. So if there's an update on a stock we're holding or a new one that I'm looking at, I provide the detail in this daily watch list. And it goes to your phone, your tablet, or your computer, and you can check it on the way to work or before work or at work. It's your 2-minute daily primer. The education suite. Listen, I'm a teacher, so you know there's going to be education. I want you to study the lessons, all right? And I'll tell you which ones to study. There's not a ton. The oversold chart pattern, the fishhook, the continuation chart pattern, the pennant, the breakout chart pattern, the rocket. And then we just look for catalysts, right? Earnings winners or news winners, right? Bitcoin's hot or pot stocks are hot, whatever it might be. It'll be in the daily watch list, which is built off of the education suite. So think of the education suite as my foundation, the daily watch list as my house, all right? And then the real-time trade alerts that go out to you, that is my car or my jet, all right? Those are the 3 things that I have: a foundation, education. Then my house, daily watch list. And then me bouncing all around, doing real things in real time in my car or jet, that is the real-time trade alerts. You're going to get these lessons, and I'll tell you which ones to study, all right? A lot of them are just real money trades that went good or bad. I teach you about both. I don't always win. I teach you about both, what to avoid, what to do. You learn from my school of hard knocks. I told you I'm going to give you my top-selling DVDs free because I want you to be successful. This alone is about $5,000 in value, free when you join me. This alone will bring you up to speed on everything that I've learned since I left my teaching job. Everything. And you will feel really confident attacking the markets. But I'm also going to give away a monthly live strategy session with me, only for my clients. You'll get a strategy course too, which is kind of like a snapshot of all of my lessons. The strategy course is my best lessons bundled into one small course. So if you're super busy and you want to get inside my head, this is going to be perfect for you. And should you decide to become a full-time trader, I will give you my day trading playbook absolutely free. This is in addition to the DVDs. And the value here on this special giveaway is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. All of this stuff is worth a ton of money, guys and gals. And I'm giving it to you. Why? Because I want you to be successful. My regular fee for my swing and long-term trading service is $399 per quarter. Today only, the special giveaway, all of the materials, plus the DVDs, plus my service for just $297 a quarter. That breaks down to under $99 a month. That breaks down to a few bucks a day. And if this works and you start realizing $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, what were the goals that you wrote down? What could you change in your life? And then when the light bulb goes off that you could grow it from there, and all of a sudden you start doing crazy, crazy returns, bigger light bulbs go off. There's no limit on how successful one can be on Wall Street, provided you can be successful first. I'm here to help you get there. I've helped so many other people do it. Trustpilot is the #1 review site for financial newsletters on the internet. And here's the kicker. You can't leave a review there unless you're a confirmed paying client of mine. I'm rated 9.6 out of 10. 9.6 out of 10 on nearly 400 reviews, guys and gals. 9.6 out of 10. I'm the highest rated financial newsletter on Trustpilot, which is the #1 review site in the world. And these are verified paying clients. People like on Twitter that post these results, leave these reviews. They mean the world to me because I want them to be successful. I want you to be successful. This is real and this is exciting. Now, we don't have a lot of time to do Q&A, so I'm just going to answer 2 of the most popular questions I get. How much money do I need to get started? And the answer is, that's personal. I have clients start with a few $1,000s. Kyle started with $15,000 and you saw his results. He makes over $1 million a year now. Nathan started with $37,000 after he had already lost $40,000 the year before in the market. It depends on your goals. Here's what you need. You need to understand the lessons. You need to understand the daily primer. You need to see the real-time alerts in action. And you need to see if you can make that $1,000 or $2,000 a month. You build from wherever you are. You start with whatever amount you want to. Whether it's a few $1,000s or $15,000 like Kyle, or $37,000 like Nathan, or $1 million like Petra. I have doctors and I have lawyers and